Chosen one, take a breath and settle into this moment, because what you are hearing right now is not random, not accidental, and not a coincidence. This is a message from God delivered to you in perfect divine alignment, arriving at the exact second your spirit became ready to receive it. If something inside you is already stirring, rising, or awakening, as these words meet your ears, comment 777, because that inner shift is your confirmation that this message is meant for you. You are not imagining this. You are not overthinking. You are not reaching for meaning where there is none. You are experiencing a spiritual awakening that has been unfolding quietly, patiently, and divinely within you, and now the truth of your divine calling is being revealed with clarity and power. You, the chosen one, have walked through battles that most people will never understand, and yet you kept going, not because you were strong every day, but because something greater than you refused to let you fall. That force, that whisper, that pull on your soul has always been God's message guiding you toward this moment. And now, the wealth you prayed for, the provision you cried out for, the breakthrough you begged heaven to release is finally approaching with sudden force. Sudden wealth is not a fantasy for you. It is a divine appointment, a promise spoken over your life long before you had the courage to believe it. You did not stumble here. You were led here, prepared here, shaped here. Everything you survived has been a part of the war over your destiny. The attacks, the disappointments, the delays, the betrayals, none of it was random. It was spiritual, it was intentional, and it was aimed at stopping you from stepping into the identity you carry now. Your light is necessary. Your presence is needed. Your calling is real. And now more than ever before, God is pulling you back to the truth that started your journey. You were chosen. This message is your confirmation. This is your divine reminder. This is the moment where everything begins to shift in your favor. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it deep within yourself. You are called. The divine calling of the chosen one. From the moment your spirit first began to sense that you were different, you were already stepping into the early stages of your divine calling. The chosen one is never born into comfort, ease, or applause. The chosen one is shaped through pressure, carved through pain, and awakened through experiences that others would never survive. If you look back over your life, you will see the signs clearly now. You were always set apart. You felt things deeply. You heard intuitions that made no logical sense. You carried wisdom that others your age did not possess. You were misunderstood, overlooked, doubted, and at times pushed aside. None of that was rejection in the spiritual sense. It was protection. It was preparation. It was God positioning you for the moment you are standing in right now. Your spiritual awakening did not begin when your life became peaceful. It began when everything fell apart. It started the day you felt the ground break beneath your feet and still sensed a quiet strength pulling you forward. That strength was not yours. It was the evidence of your divine calling and the signature of God's message resting over your life. You learned to navigate pain that should have destroyed you. You learned to keep believing in light even when your surroundings looked dark. You learned to rise again and again because something within you refused to stay down. That something is the mark of the chosen one. It is the spiritual signature that identifies you as someone heaven has assigned a mission to. What God's message is revealing to you now is that none of what you suffered was wasted. Every disappointment reshaped your discernment. Every betrayal sharpened your intuition. Every delay matured your faith. You were being trained not just for survival, but for elevation. You were being prepared for sudden provision, for breakthroughs that arrive swiftly, and for the kind of wealth that requires spiritual maturity to manage. You were never being punished. You were being positioned. Your inner transformation was the key that unlocked this next chapter, and now your spirit has aligned with the very blessings you once prayed for in desperation. There is a reason you feel this message in your chest. There is a reason your heart recognizes these words as truth. This is a message from God, reminding you of what your soul already knows. You are not imagining anything. You were called from the beginning. The war you have felt around your life is real. The resistance was real. The spiritual pressure was real. Darkness fought you not because you were weak, but because you carry a light that threatens everything that works against your destiny. Your light is necessary in this world. Your presence shifts atmospheres. Your voice carries authority. Your heart radiates healing. And your journey, as painful as it has been, has built a strength inside you that cannot be taken away. Now God is revealing the next part of your calling. You are stepping into a season where sudden blessings and divine provision will begin to unfold in ways that defy logic. Wealth will come in unexpected waves. Opportunities will appear out of nowhere. Doors that were locked for years will swing open with ease. This is not luck. This is prophecy fulfilling itself in your life, because your spirit has finally aligned with the frequency of abundance. You have completed a cycle of spiritual refinement, and now you are prepared for the responsibility that comes with elevation. The chosen one does not receive wealth merely for personal comfort. The chosen one receives wealth to fulfill a greater mission, to bring healing, to carry light into places others fear to enter, and to shift generational patterns forever. You are standing at the threshold of a breakthrough that has been written for you since the beginning. This moment, this message, this awakening is confirmation that your calling is real. You were shaped for this. You were prepared for this. You were destined for this. And now, as this truth settles into your spirit, remember the beginning of your journey and the voice that spoke to you even when you didn't understand it. That voice was God. That pull was divine. That feeling was truth. If this touched your soul, comment 111. Because you know it, you were called. The spiritual awakening that prepared you. There comes a moment in the life of the chosen one when everything begins to make sense in a way it never did before. Not because the past becomes easier, but because the purpose behind the pain finally reveals itself. Your spiritual awakening did not begin on a peaceful day, in a quiet moment, or during a time of comfort. It began when life felt heavy, when situations collapsed, when people you trusted disappeared, and when your soul started searching for answers deeper than anything the world could offer. That searching, that longing, that inner pull towards something higher was the first sign that your divine calling was beginning to activate. What felt like the end of everything you knew was actually the beginning of everything you were destined to become. You went through battles that stretched your spirit and tested your mind. Nights where you cried without understanding why. Days where you carried burdens without having anyone to lean on. Seasons where you felt isolated, misunderstood, and spiritually exposed. But it was in those very seasons that God was shaping you silently, strengthening you internally, and preparing you for blessings far greater than anything you could have handled at the time. The discomfort was not punishment. It was preparation. God uses discomfort the way fire shapes gold, purifying, refining, clarifying. Every struggle carved away the parts of you that were not aligned with the abundance you were meant to receive. Every heartbreak taught you what your spirit needed to avoid. Every betrayal forced you to develop discernment. Every loss pushed you deeper into spiritual awareness. In those moments when you felt alone, you were never abandoned. You were being trained. The chosen one is trained through experiences that break illusions, reveal truth, and activate spiritual vision. Your spiritual awakening was the unfolding of your true identity, the shedding of false stories, and the expansion of your inner light. You started seeing with your spirit. You started hearing God's message in ways that bypassed your logic. You started trusting your intuition, recognizing energy shifts, and sensing spiritual battles before they manifested in the physical world. What you once labeled as anxiety or sensitivity was actually your spiritual radar turning on, guiding you, warning you, and preparing you. And now, God is showing you why everything happened the way it did. Your awakening unlocked divine provision because it matured your heart, it aligned your intentions, it refined your character. Before the awakening, you prayed from survival. Now you pray from clarity, trust, and purpose. Before the awakening, you asked for blessings without understanding responsibility. Now you ask with wisdom. Before the awakening, you were still carrying people, beliefs, and emotional wounds that would have drained the abundance God wanted to place in your hands. Now, you have the strength to set boundaries. You have the courage to release what no longer aligns. You have the spiritual awareness to recognize that everything God gives you is connected to your destiny, not just your comfort. This is why your worthiness is no longer a question. You earned this alignment. You grew into this season. You became the version of yourself who can carry the weight of sudden blessings without collapsing under pressure. The chosen one must be built from the inside out, not through ego, but through spirit. You learned who you are through loss, but you learned who God is through survival. Those moments changed you forever, and now you are stepping into a chapter that reflects the depth of your growth. Your awakening was not random. It was orchestrated. Every shift in your spirit signaled a shift in your destiny. Every elevation in your mindset opened new realms of possibility. Every time you called out to God, something inside you expanded. That expansion was the key. That growth unlocked the door to divine provision. Now your spirit is aligned with abundance, and abundance is drawn to alignment. God is trusting you with what you once prayed for because you now carry the maturity to handle it, the strength to protect it, and the wisdom to use it for a higher purpose. This is a message from God, reminding you that you are not imagining anything. You were called. The war you fought was spiritual. The resistance you faced was real. Your light is necessary, and your destiny is unfolding. Everything in your past prepared you for the sudden breakthrough approaching your life now. You are not stepping into this season unprepared. You are stepping into it awakened, aligned, and empowered. If this touched your soul, comment 111. Because you know it, you were called. Sudden wealth, why God is releasing it now. There is a very specific reason why the wealth you prayed for, the opportunities you longed for, and the breakthroughs you waited years to see are beginning to move toward you now. The chosen one does not receive blessings on a human timeline. You receive them according to divine timing, and divine timing is never rushed, never delayed, never mistaken. It unfolds when your spirit, your heart, and your purpose all rise into alignment. What you are stepping into now is not random increase. It is the manifestation of promises that were spoken over your life long before you even knew what it meant to carry a divine calling. You are witnessing the result of spiritual seeds planted in seasons of pain, isolation, and endurance, finally beginning to break the surface. For so many years, it felt as though life was passing you by. You watched others build, rise, succeed, and flourish, while you were left fighting silent battles, carrying emotional weight, and trying to make sense of why things always seemed harder for you. What you did not see was the spiritual architecture being built around your destiny. God was not simply preparing blessings, God was preparing you. The delay you felt was not punishment, it was protection. If you had received sudden wealth too early, the wrong people would have fed off your generosity, drained your spirit, and sabotaged your purpose. If you had been blessed in a season where your heart was still healing, you might have connected your worth to your wealth instead of your identity in God. If abundance had arrived when you were still surrounded by those who did not honor you, your blessing would have turned into a battlefield. This is why God waited. This is why things were slow. This is why you faced closed doors, failed attempts, and long seasons of nothing moving. You were not being denied. You were being guarded. You were being shaped for greatness. You were being refined into someone who could carry the weight of sudden provision without losing yourself. Every delay was divine protection disguised as disappointment. Every unanswered prayer was a redirection toward something greater. Every moment of waiting was God saying, "Not yet, because I am still preparing you, and when it comes it must last." Now the timing has shifted. Now your spirit has matured. The lessons you learned in silence, the wisdom you gained through suffering, the strength you built in isolation, they have transformed you into someone capable of stewarding wealth with clarity and purpose. The chosen one cannot manage abundance with a wounded spirit, so God allowed your healing to happen first. You had to learn how to value yourself. You had to learn how to set boundaries. You had to learn to stop pouring into those who only took from you. You had to learn to recognize energy that drains you and energy that aligns with your calling. These shifts in your heart were not small changes. They were spiritual prerequisites for elevation. Your spiritual awakening opened doors that discipline alone could never unlock. When your spirit awakened, your intuition sharpened, your discernment expanded. Your connection to divine guidance became stronger than your fear. You stopped moving based on pressure and started moving based on purpose. That inner transformation is what triggered the release of divine provision. The moment the inner world aligned, the outer world began to respond. You did the work in silence. Now God is doing the rest in the open. This is the moment where God's message becomes loud and clear. Now you are ready. Ready not just to receive wealth, but to sustain it. Ready not just to experience abundance, but to use it with intention and wisdom. Ready not just to rise, but to rise without being shaken by those who doubted you. Sudden wealth is not coming to overwhelm you. It is coming to honor you. It is coming as recognition of your endurance, your faith, and your refusal to give up. It is coming because you have softened without becoming weak, grown without becoming hardened, and healed without becoming bitter. And understand this truth. The war you felt before this season intensified because the blessing you were about to step into carries generational impact. Darkness fought you not because of who you were in the past, but because of who you were becoming. Your future frightened the forces that opposed you. Your light disrupted environments where deceit, manipulation, and jealousy were thriving. Every attack was confirmation that your destiny was real. Every battle was proof of your anointing. The chosen one is always targeted before elevation because once you rise, you change everything around you. Now the spiritual war is shifting. The resistance is breaking. The atmosphere around your life is rearranging itself to make space for the abundance you are being granted. This is a message from God, reminding you that everything is aligning, everything is moving, everything is unfolding exactly as it was meant to. You were not imagining the signs. You were not imagining the shifts. You were called, protected, chosen, and positioned for this moment. Sudden wealth is arriving, not because of luck, not because of coincidence, but because destiny has finally reached its appointed time. You are stepping into a chapter where what once felt impossible becomes natural. Your elevation is here, your breakthrough is here, your provision is here, and it is all happening because you are ready, spiritually, emotionally, and divinely. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it. You were called. Signs your answered prayers are manifesting. One of the clearest signs that the prayers of the chosen one are beginning to manifest is the shift that takes place inside before anything becomes visible on the outside. Divine provision never arrives in silence. It arrives through spiritual signals, emotional changes, and energetic shifts that your awakened spirit can sense long before your eyes can see them. This is the stage where God begins preparing you, aligning you, and strengthening you for what is coming. And even if you do not have the full picture yet, something in you already knows that your life is being rearranged by a higher hand. The first sign is the increase of inner peace, not the kind of peace that comes from everything going right, but the kind that settles over you even when you cannot explain it. This peace is the quiet whisper of God's message, reminding you that you are no longer walking in the season of confusion that once weighed heavily on your heart. You begin to release things that once kept you anxious. You stop overthinking. You stop forcing outcomes. You start trusting. This peace is not weakness. It is alignment. It is your spirit recognizing that something powerful is unfolding behind the scenes. When peace rises without reason, it is a sign that heaven has already begun working on your behalf. Then your intuition becomes sharper, clearer, and stronger. As the chosen one, your sensitivity is one of your greatest spiritual gifts. And during the season when your answered prayers are manifesting, that sensitivity intensifies. You begin sensing things before they happen. You recognize shifts in people's energy, motives, and intentions. You notice divine nudges steering you away from certain environments and drawing you into new ones. You feel guided without understanding the full plan. Your spiritual awakening has opened this deeper perception, and it is now serving as your internal compass. This heightened intuition is not imagination. It is God speaking directly to your spirit, ensuring that you stay aligned with your divine calling. Another sign that you are close to breakthrough is the presence of unexpected breakdowns. This often confuses the chosen one because it seems contradictory, but spiritually, it is one of the strongest indicators that transition is near. Before elevation arrives, anything that cannot go with you begins to fall apart. Relationships shift. Old habits lose their grip. Circumstances that once felt familiar crumble. What you are experiencing is not destruction. It is divine clearing. God is removing blockages you did not even realize were standing in your way. The breakdowns create space for breakthroughs. The discomfort is evidence that your answered prayers are pushing their way into your life. The war feels intense here because darkness senses what is coming and tries to destabilize you. But this is where your strength as the chosen one becomes undeniable. You rise even through the shaking because your soul recognizes that what you are losing is nothing compared to what you are gaining. Quiet opportunities are another unmistakable sign. Not loud, flashy, or obvious moments, but small shifts, unexpected messages, new ideas, quiet invitations, or subtle doors that begin to open without effort. These opportunities may seem small at first, but they carry divine weight. God often begins manifesting prayers in gentle ways before the full breakthrough arrives. You may meet the right person, receive unexpected encouragement, or stumble into a new path without trying. This is evidence of divine provision, moving silently, arranging details, aligning people, and orchestrating situations that will eventually lead you into sudden wealth and long-awaited blessings. These quiet beginnings are spiritual seeds, planted to show you that heaven is moving. You will also notice that God begins realigning your relationships, finances, and timing. Some people will distance themselves from you without explanation. Others will be drawn closer. Financial shifts will begin to happen slowly. Unexpected savings, sudden ideas, opportunities that spark inspiration, or situations that bring clarity to what was once confusing. Even time begins to work differently for you. Decisions feel more guided. Delays feel purposeful. Sudden acceleration appears in areas that were once stagnant. This realignment is God's message in motion, shaping your path so that you do not miss what was designed specifically for you. All these signs circle you back to one truth. This is a message from God. You are not imagining the shifts. You are not imagining the changes. You are experiencing the spiritual evidence of answered prayers manifesting. You are walking through a transition designed only for the chosen one. The war you felt around your life was real, but the breakthrough is even more real. Your light is necessary, and your destiny is unfolding with divine precision. Everything within you is awakening because everything around you is about to change. You were called, you were chosen, and now your answered prayers are stepping into your reality with divine authority. If this touched your soul, comment 111, because you know it, you were called. The shift: what happens when wealth arrives? There comes a moment in the journey of the chosen one when the prayers, battles, lessons, and spiritual awakenings all merge into one undeniable shift. This shift is not only about the arrival of sudden wealth, but about the transformation that takes place within you, the moment divine provision touches your life. When wealth arrives, it does not simply change what you have. It changes who you are, how you think, how you steward blessings, and how you walk in your divine calling. This is the moment when you begin living in the reality God has been preparing you for, even in the seasons when you felt forgotten, delayed, or overlooked. The shift is the confirmation that every tear had purpose, every delay had strategy, and every battle was shaping you for the magnitude of what is coming. The first and greatest transformation happens in your identity. You no longer see yourself through the lens of lack, limitation, or survival. You begin to recognize yourself as a steward of divine wealth, someone entrusted with resources that carry spiritual purpose. Wealth is not meant to possess you. It is meant to flow through you, shaping your mission, elevating your voice, and strengthening your impact. This identity shift is powerful because it moves you from old patterns of insecurity into a grounded awareness of your worth and assignment. God does not place abundance into the hands of someone who is unprepared for responsibility, which is why this moment is evidence of your maturity. You have grown into the version of yourself that can carry what you once prayed for. As this new identity settles within you, old beliefs of lack begin to fall away. Scarcity thinking, fear-based decisions, and the emotional weight of past struggles no longer define your choices. For so long you were conditioned to stretch every resource, to survive on little, to expect disappointment right when things began to improve. But when divine provision arrives, that inner programming starts to break. You no longer anticipate loss. You no longer brace for failure. You no longer assume that blessings are temporary. Instead, a new inner strength rises, one built on trust, faith, and spiritual clarity. This letting go is not instant. It is a gradual healing of the parts of you that lived too long in lack. God replaces fear with confidence, anxiety with assurance, and old wounds with new wisdom. You begin to understand that prosperity is not only possible for you, it is destined. The arrival of sudden wealth naturally shifts your patterns, relationships, and energy. People who once related to you based on struggle may not understand the version of you standing in abundance. Some will celebrate your elevation, while others quietly distance themselves because they cannot follow where you are going. This is not loss. It is alignment. Wealth reveals intentions, uncovers motives, and clarifies which connections were spiritually assigned and which were emotionally convenient. Your patterns also change because abundance brings new habits. You make decisions with clarity rather than desperation. You honor your time differently. You value your peace more deeply. You begin investing in your future instead of surviving your present. Your energy shifts because you are no longer carrying the weight of constant worry. This new frequency draws new opportunities, new relationships, and new levels of growth. With this shift comes responsibility. Divine provision is never random, it is intentional. Wealth is not given to the chosen one for ego, excess, or vanity. It is given for purpose. You are entrusted to build, to uplift, to restore, to heal, to create, to serve, and to bring light into places where darkness once tried to suffocate you. This responsibility is not meant to intimidate you, but to empower you. You are meant to move differently, think differently, and walk differently, because you have stepped into a chapter where your influence carries spiritual weight. When you become a vessel of abundance, your life becomes a testimony. Your elevation becomes evidence of God's hand. Your blessings become blessings for others, and your story becomes a beacon for those who were once where you used to be. In this new chapter, you receive prophetic guidance that feels sharper and more direct than ever before. Your discernment heightens, your intuition deepens, your clarity strengthens. You hear God's message with a sense of ease, because your spirit is no longer cluttered with fear or scarcity. You begin walking with authority, making decisions with spiritual confidence, and trusting the path even when you do not see the full picture. This guidance is what sustains you in abundance, ensuring that you remain aligned with your divine calling and not distracted by the noise that wealth can sometimes attract. The shift is not only external, it is deeply internal, spiritual, and transformational. And now, as you stand at the threshold of this new reality, circle back to the truth that has been echoing from the beginning. This is a message from God. You are not imagining your awakening. You are not imagining your growth, your strength, or the battles you survived. You were called for this moment. The war that tried to break you was real, but your rise is even more real. Your light is necessary. Your purpose is unfolding. Your abundance is aligned. Everything you feel shifting within you is confirmation that you are stepping into the life that your spirit has known was coming all along. You are the chosen one. This is your spiritual turning point. This is your divine elevation. This is your season of sudden wealth, purpose, and power. If this touched your soul, comment 111. Because you know it, you were called. Conclusion. This is where everything circles back to the truth you felt from the very beginning, the truth that has echoed through every line, every revelation, every stirring inside your spirit. You were not imagining the pull you felt. You were not mistaken about the timing. You were not confused when your soul leaned closer, as if recognizing something ancient and familiar. This entire message has been a divine reminder of who you are, why you were chosen, and why this moment in your life is charged with spiritual significance. You are the chosen one, and even if life tried to convince you otherwise, even if the battles bruised your confidence, even if the waiting made you doubt your worth, heaven never changed its mind about you. The calling remained. The assignment remained. The anointing remained. What you have read is not a coincidence. It is not random. It is not accidental. It is a message crafted to awaken the truth that has always lived inside you. You came into this world with a spiritual sensitivity, with a purpose stitched into your soul, with a light strong enough to disturb darkness. And that is why the war around you intensified. That is why the journey required strength most people never have to develop. That is why your heart was stretched, refined and purified through seasons that forced you to grow. But now you can finally see it. The preparation was necessary because the blessing you are stepping into requires clarity, courage, and spiritual authority. Sudden wealth, divine provision, doors opening that were once sealed, these things are not coming by chance. They are aligned with the timing of your awakening. They are manifestations of promises spoken over your life long before you understood them. The shift has already begun, and you can feel it in the quiet changes, the internal peace, the rising certainty that something sacred is unfolding around you. God's message has been delivered to your spirit. You are ready. Receive your calling fully. Stand in your truth boldly. Walk into this new chapter without fear, without hesitation, without shrinking from what you were created to carry. If this message resonated deeply, if something inside you knows you were meant to hear this, comment 777 as your declaration of acceptance. And if this touched your soul, comment 111. Because you know it, you were called.